function, what does it do? It checks whether a condition is met and returns one value if true and another value if what? False. Now, watch what we are going to do. What is our condition? The condition here is that the staff must be over what? 10 years. Now the question is, which of these columns will be our focus? The years. Okay? So since the years is our focus, what we will now do, we will now say if F3, okay, is greater than 10. So we are saying check this column. If this cell is greater than 10, that is our logical what? That is our logical test in the argument or the parameter. So if if F3 is greater than what? 10, comma, what should I return? From the question, they say from the question, what will be our comment? Bonus. So for us to write out bonus, you put it in a what? In a quotation sign, which is a string. So we now open the quotation sign and say bonus. Then close the quotation sign. And if the value is false, if at the end of the day we check and what is here is less than or equal to 10, what should happen? Gift. Then you close the bracket. Once every condition or once every parameters is satisfied, once every argument is imputed, you tap your enter. You see that here we see that the bonus for what we are to do to this guy, because it's greater than 10 years, is what? Bonus. And then you can then apply this by double clicking on your autofill handle, and this applies to all. This applies to all. Take this process again. Now, the question says staff over 10 years, comment bonus. What otherwise, comment what? Gift. Meaning that if the staff is less than 10 years or equal to 10 years, let it be what? Gift. Now so let's do that. Equals to if, bracket open. There are 3 arguments for if. 3 arguments. When we say argument, meaning that these are parameters that you must supply in order for that function to work. You know that yesterday when we were doing equals to today, how many arguments does today have? It has no argument. We only open the bracket and then we close the bracket. No argument. Okay? When we did equals to now, how many arguments? No argument. When we did equals to upper, how many arguments? No. How many arguments? How many parameters did you supply? It was 1, which is just the test. Okay? You supply the test, which is just 1. Are you with me? So all these parameters that you supply are what we call what? Argument. There are some functions that can take up to 225 arguments. You don't have to be afraid when I say 225 arguments. Just like your sum, you can sum up to 225 numbers. Okay? So that is what argument is. But in this case, How do you know how many arguments or how many parameters or how many values you need to supply in order to complete a function? You will see that the values will be separated, or the argument will be separated by comma. So how many comma do you see here? We have the logical test, comma, we have the value if true, comma, and then we have the last one, which is value if what? If false. So those are what we call arguments. When we did left, how many arguments did we supply? You know, you were doing it yesterday, but you were very cautious about it. You understand? So it was 2 arguments. Left and right, we use we supply 2 parameters, which is which of the tests do you want to pick from? You select the test, comma, and then how many characters do you want to pick, which is 3. So meaning that 2 arguments. But when we now want to do mid, how many arguments did we supply? 3. So whenever you want to perform any function, ensure you know how many arguments. And if you and within the argument, if you see any of the argument that is in a square bracket like this, you can ignore it. Any argument that you see in a what? In a square bracket, it is optional. Don't worry, as you go on, you will see some of these Yes. It's an argument. So each of them will be separated by a comma. And by the time you satisfy any argument, you will see that this board will move to the next one, meaning that you have completed the argument for this, and then you move to the next one. Once you are done with that, it will also move to the next one. Immediately you add the comma, meaning that you are done with that argument. So now these 3 arguments, the logical test here is that if the years of service is greater than 10, under logic, greater than, where will it face? My left hand or my right hand? Okay. So the greater than is this, while the less than is. What of greater than or equals to? How do we express it in Excel? No, you put the greater than first before you put equal to. Okay? Greater than or equal to. So meaning that you will have something like this, greater than or equal to. So the same thing, less than or equal to. What if we want to write not equals to? How will we now write it? Oh yeah? How will we write it? Not equals to in Excel. Yes, the normal character is like this. So in Excel, if you want to write it not equals to, you put the greater than and the less than facing each other. So that is what represents not equals to. I hope this is clear. So it is easier this way if you understand how to bring up the signs. So that when you are bringing up your condition, you won't be writing the wrong thing. Me, I can decide that I don't want to use it this way. I can decide to say, I want it to be, if F3 is less than or equal to 10, what will be my value if true? My value if true will be what? Will be gifts. Else, it should be what? Bonus. So that does not mean that what you do must be the same with mine, but we must arrive at the same what? The same answer. So in Microsoft Excel, there are many ways to kill the rat without shedding his blood. So once that is done, you enter. You will still arrive at the same answer. All I did was to set my condition. Once your condition is met, you are good. It's very possible that you have multiple conditions. And that multiple condition, look at it in the second question. It says staff over 10 years with ratings above what? 3. These are what? 2 conditions. Staff over 10 years with ratings above 3. Comment what? Promoted. Otherwise, status. This time around, you won't use if. What you will use our if and. So let us try our hand first.
Okay, so sorry, I want to just clarify my question.
Yeah.
Ifs cannot work.
No, it won't work. No. Ifs cannot work. If we only work if it is still on that, if it is still on that same condition, okay, that is where ifs will work. Yes, so it will work. If it is greater than 10, let it be this. If it is greater than 5, let it be this. If it is greater than on that same, but this time around it is 2, so we use and in order to meet the condition before confirming it as a single condition. So we use our if and in this case. But if it is an option, either this or this, so we now use our or. So let us try the and. Now, our and is, we have to bring up the logical test. Our first logical test is what? Is E3 is, okay, F3 is greater than 10. Now, what did you notice in the second there's another argument. So what is that argument? What is having what? This. So I can decide to just do only one of those one of these logical tests. That's what it means.
And those don't mean that.
You can add more. You can add more up to 225. How do you know? If you click this function, you can also whatever function you write here, you can also do them here as well. If you click on the function, if you click on the insert function, so whatever function we are inserting, you will see it here. It said logical 1, 2 are 1 to what? Okay, 255. Even more than what I wrote. So up to 255 conditions. So our second logical test will be what? Will be job rating greater than 3. And anything you do, you will always see the result here before applying it. So what he's saying is that this first employee is true for him. So once that is done, we say okay. So we have done the first part, which is true. Then we'll now go back there again. You see, this entire hand that we have performed now will now be the logical test will now be the first argument for our if function. Does that make sense? So immediately I bring in the if, it brings it up as the what? As the logical test. Whether it is true, if it is true, if it is false, not promoted. Yes, you will complete the and argument first. Then you now go back and edit it and then add the if at the front of it. No, once you add the if function, yes. So just add the if.
So is this your press enter so that you can test the it's true.
First one. Wait. This will not return. Track this guy down. No. So this is supposed to. It's only you put your bracket. You will now begin to say if the value is what? True. If the value is true, we will say it is what? Promoted. And if the value is false, it should be what? Status quo. Then close bracket, enter. So this person is promoted. So what will happen to the third one? To be status quo.